Can you just walk us through what you saw when you arrived at the scene of the fire? What met you?
Wow, very devastating and very unfortunate, seeing there. Livelihoods being destroyed. That is a very, very high industrial area. In fact, that is a place that we can say, has led to the loss of at least a reasonable percentage of Kano's GDP. A reasonable percent of Kano's IGR has gone down the drain in that fire. We are talking about a hub where people who depend. We are talking about people who depend on waste for wealth. People who go in to pick up plastics, to avoid environmental pollution, to take them to that particular market to be recycled and then making some money from this waste. These livelihoods are now going down the drain and people are really sad. We're talking about goods, services, money, amounting to up to billions. Just a single woman lost up to 100 billion. You can see machines down there. You can see a lot of expensive machines, destroyed. And that is a huge loss for a lot of people at this very, very critical time when we're expecting festive season to kickstart. People are gathering money to, celebrate Salah. People are fasting and all that. It's very, 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 very painful. Yeah.
So, Emmanuel, a couple of weeks ago, we had an expert here whose expertise was in recycling material, or what was it called again? Urban mining was the word we used. And when you talk about the fact that Kano's GDP might also rely on this market that has had this very unfortunate instance happen to it, it makes you wonder how concerned the authorities are when it comes to the fire and the people who made a living from there. Are there any, has the government advanced any compensation or aid to the people who have lost millions?
Yes, you are very right to say that there's a huge concern from government authorities, because as of yesterday evening, late evening, we had the governor visit the scene of that incident to, inspect and, see the level of loss, that people have had. It's a serious, it's a good word to use, urban mining, because that, I would say that most of the jobless youths in Kano, most of the youths who have not been to school, most of the youths who are dependent on informal trade, are actually dependent on recycling. And Kano has a very huge population. We're talking about a population of, the second most populated, city, state in Nigeria. We're talking about a state with 44 local governments. Those who are not opportunity to go to school and they are dependent on this street. When you wake up every day, you see these guys before Babambola, these scavengers. Every morning you see them with sacks going into, waste bins, picking up these plastics, gathering them in sacks. They arrive, they all take them to that particular market, that particular Dakota recycling market. Everything you see, every small child you see, scavenging, ends up in that market and gets his daily bread from that market. Today the market is not there. I mean, it's so devastating. You cannot even imagine how the government wants to tackle this, because it's not even the case of saying that people going to school, they lost jobs, okay, let's create another job for them. We're talking about investments. People go there to, a lot of people sold their properties, build machines. This kind of machines are being imported. You don't see these machines anywhere. They're very expensive machines. So it's something that's very, very tricky. It's something that's very, very technical that the government have to look at. And it's a challenge at this time for the government of Kano State and of course Nigeria, because it's a market that actually feeds an entire northwest region. We're talking about a market that produces nylon. Most of the nylon you use, when you go to the market, you buy things and you put something in black leather, it comes from that market. A good percentage of it comes from that market. So it's something that it's worrisome and that requires a lot of synergy. The Kano State government, I don't think they can do this alone. They will need some kind of assistance, to keep, to revive, to start up the game. Yeah.
Right. Let's also talk about, the response to this fire from the Kano State Fire Service. Were there any major challenges that they faced? What was their response time like? And were they fast in containing the fire? I mean, plastics are flammable, but I'm sure they were up to a huge fight.
Man, this fire is not something that can be controlled. It's fire around 4 a.m. And 4 a.m. The market is just a stone throw to the fire service office and back it up. It's not up to 500 meters. I think I would just say 400 meters. But the fire service were overwhelmed. We are talking about a place where there is a very huge industrial activities. A place where is congested, where industrial activities happens 24 hours. You remember the fire started 4 a.m. I know the eyewitness account, the victim's account was that they saw this fire coming. They thought it was just an ordinary electric spark. It started from an electric pole, a spark. And when you hear someone tell you that, there is an electric spark, what comes to mind is the fact that there's congestion, of course. I'm not an electric engineer, but of course you know that there's high activities. There's a huge number of industrial activities on that particular that line. So the fire service were overwhelmed. It's not something that the fire service will control. And then we have a lot of chemicals. The last young man that was speaking, to us outside mentioned to us that with the solid fire, they thought it's just a simple thing that can be controlled. But in the process of trying to put out the fire, there's a particular rubber that was having a flammable chemical in it. In the process of packing those items out, that rubber broke into two, and of course the chemical that came out was flammable. And before you know it, it come in contact with the fire, and then of course everywhere was flamed. Everywhere was haze and everything. So it's so devastating for the fire service because there are actually flammable chemicals in that particular market. That's why it wasn't easy for them to be able to control the fire. It's not that they couldn't do their job. They came in right time. Their office is just adjacent to the market. But with the fact that there were a lot of flammable chemicals, talking about a market that contains companies that produces nylon, companies that recycles, that crushes plastics, companies that create that. In fact, there is even an aspect of that particular market that processes food. We have a young man who processes granules who has a machine that processes granite to produce granite oil. And I'm coming home to see that his machine and his entire shop is burned down. The man just collapsed. I was rushed to the nearby hospital. So a lot of machines that in that particular market, those machines contain flammable gas. They have fuel, they have diesel, and then of course the chemicals being used for recycling also are flammable. So you don't expect that that is the kind of fire that will be controlled by the fire service, because as they are putting up the fire, more fire is still coming up. They are having more challenge. So it's just a case of they are just trying their best. They don't know, they're just trying their best. But unfortunately, honestly, it's not something that can be controlled by the fire service. But the fact that it's an industrial hub that has a lot of chemicals that are filling up. Yeah.
Now, Emmanuel, taking a look at the visuals that we're showing currently, we can see those big machines, and we can also see that nothing is left. The efforts that we're seeing from the fire service at putting out the fire is not trying to salvage anything, it's actually just trying to put out the fire from the rubble. So it means nothing was left. Back to the challenges that might have been experienced by the authorities, the fire authorities. Was it one of access to the facility or to the markets that might have caused them to perhaps arrive at such a time where nothing can be saved? Or were there any notes regarding safety or personal safety of the people who endeavor at the market, perhaps maybe having their own fire extinguishers and all of that? Please explain how come the fire was so devastating, and whether there were any talks of personal fire equipment.
Yes, the point you mentioned is very, very important, talking about personal safety, talking about, educating the people how to, prevent this kind of occurrence. That's a very, very important point you are raising, because you raised the fact that why didn't the fire service, was it an issue of access? It wasn't an issue of access at all. It is an issue of, professionalism. Yeah, I don't think there was the tradition of professionalism, and I told you that most of the people that are working there are people who are jobless, who have not been to school, who are artisans. And then there was need for them to be educated on how to prevent this kind of thing happening, because this is the first time they're experiencing this kind of thing. We have seen fire in markets, we have seen fire in houses, we have seen fire in communities, places of worship. But this is, we're talking about the fire happening in a place where there are chemicals that are flammable. Just for instance, a fire happening in a refinery is similar to that, because what they are producing there involves a huge use of chemicals. And the point you mentioned is whether there are issues, that there are instances of prevention, whether Traders there have their personal fire extinguishers and thought how to put out fire. There is not. There is not, because it's very obvious. Because the reason why the fire service didn't control that fire to the bare minimum was the fact that as the fire service are trying to put out the fire, more fire is being coming because of the chemicals that are already in that particular pump. So the point is the fact that while people are working in that kind of environment, they are supposed to be taught, fire, procedures, how to put out fire, how to escape from fire, to prevent fire from happening, because we didn't see that. There's no any notice. We don't see any instances of people. You of course there are fire extinguishers there, but all we see in that particular place is people going about their own businesses, cashing out every day, enjoying their profits, and then forgetting the fact that there is doomsday. And that doomsday has come, and you can see this women crying, livelihood is being going down the drain, and it's a lesson that people must learn. Just like you said, you raise a very, very important point. It's a lesson that must learn. People must learn how to handle chemicals. It's not enough for you to get chemicals. You are cashing out, you are producing leathers every day, exporting them, spreading them across Nigeria, cashing out, collecting waste beans, paying young boys, peanuts, of course, exploiting children.
Right.
To go to scavenge. And then, they should be taught how to, control fire. They should be taught control measures, and then they should just, because they're making a lot of money, that money should be used to control this kind of devastating effect.
Emmanuel, I have to ask at this point, have investigations begun so far to ascertain the cause of the fire, and were there any casualties?
Their investigations have started, but there's no casualties recorded. Of course, we have a lot of injuries. We have people, collapsing after noticing their means of livelihood has gone down the drain. We have people being rushed to the hospital for shock, but nobody has died. We have not seen anybody dead. We have not seen any dead body yet. But the investigation has started. We have seen the governor, visit the place yesterday. Very soon we're going to share that video with you. And then we have seen the Nigerian police, the new commissioner of police who are first day at work to experience that ugly scene. And then the fire service, the Kano State fire service, the federal fire service have started investigation. Very soon, details will be made available to everyone. Yeah.
Right. And just lastly, what's the way forward for the traders? Were you able to speak to any of the traders, the business owners there in that market, and what's the mood like when you spoke to them?
Yes, the traders are actually devastated, and the way forward for them right now is they are looking for help. If you look at their body language, help is what they are looking for. And that takes us still back to the serious question. Prevention, in hindsight, foresight, hindsight and foresight is needed. People should be able to prevent. People should be able to know what to do. We don't see any instances of insurance. Just like you say, way forward. There's no insurance. I don't think these people don't know anything about insurance. I don't think since they cannot even know how to control chemicals, how to control fire. You are talking about the chemical just busting up into pieces, and then fire, get flame just fill up everywhere. They need to be taught all these things. They need to be taught insurance, so that just like you said, way forward, when these things happen, they are actually need to be way forward. But for now, they are devastated. I think they expect that they are painting a picture of a very, very bleak reality on a certain future. So they should be taught how to move forward. They should be taught how to prevent when this kind of things happen. Thank you.
Well, Emmanuel, I want to say thank you so much. And just finally, I hope that this will be a call to those who, have businesses and they sell flammables to, recoup and try to get fire extinguishers, learn to get insurance, because especially dry season like this, you never know. And our heart goes out to those who lost their properties and just their business at the tough, uncertain time as now.
Bagudu, thank you very much for joining us this morning.